Picture now at Babylon. You can see we've got more of this residual effect of these heavy rains as some of this flash flooding that we've been talking about all morning here. Some standing water in some areas. If you are driving by, you do have to be careful, of course.
We've seen it many times, cars trying to drive through those flooded roads. Now emergency crews are trying to pump that water out to clear the roads as this morning commute has become a complete nightmare. We are joined now by the Babylon Town Supervisor Richard Schaffer. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us. Can you give us an update on what the situation is right now in your town?
Sure. We've just finished building the Ark, and we're ready to board. But
it seems that way, doesn't it?
In all seriousness, though, we got walloped. We got about, the National Weather Service is telling us we got 13 inches of rain in a very short period of time. Obviously, our drainage systems are not equipped to handle that, and so what we're dealing with is an emergency situation with the Suffolk Police Department and the New York State Police. Particularly, we're concerned about the Southern State Parkway. I'm sure you've been showing it all morning, the pictures in between exits 39 and 37, which is Deer Park Avenue and Belmont Avenue. We've got about 100 cars out there on the eastbound side, and the water is just starting to subside now. The drainage systems are handling it as quickly as possible, and we're making sure that people are safe and getting those cars off the road as quickly as possible. So we're coordinating with that. We're coordinating on all the other major roads. Most of our major roads are closed. Sunrise Highway is flooded in a number of areas, so we're urging people to just stay home, give the water time to subside, so that we can get out, clear the roads, and make them passable. The other thing we're concerned about is we had some serious flooding in all parts of the town, but in particular the areas that were hit by Sandy last year. Those areas, secondary roads are also flooded in a number of communities south of Montauk Highway. So we've got crews out now with pump trucks. We're trying to pump some of the water. But again, with water being all over the place, it's very difficult to move the water, so we're just allowing the drainage systems to do the best job that they can as quickly as possible.
Richard, also want to ask you, though, the cars that we were talking about earlier that on the Southern State Parkway that have been stranded, you said up to about 100 cars. No reports of any injuries. No one was stranded at any point.
No. Well, they're stranded in their cars. They attempted to drive through, but nobody, as far as we know, has been injured. Again, the state police have jurisdiction over that. I spoke with Governor Cuomo this morning, County Executive Malone, so they've dispatched crews to that area to help get people out of the cars, and then obviously get the cars towed off the road as the water subsides.
Yeah, I was going to say, sorry, Mary, but as far as the water receding, have you been given any indication of how quickly the water is receding and when these roads can possibly be passable?
Just in that area, because we've been monitoring that area in particular, but other areas we started to see the water is receding. Again, this hit between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m.
Yep.
We saw at least 5 inches of rain an hour in such a short period of time. So it was just before the commute began, which is why we're just starting to see now at the 9 o'clock hour that the water is starting to subside. And again, Belmont, that stretch of Southern State runs right through the Belmont Lake State Park. It's a high water table area, which is why you saw what you saw. But in other areas of the town where we've never seen flooding, we had flooding waters just cascading across major highways, which is why we're telling people to stay home.
Elise Finch has been talking about this record-breaking rainfall. Now, how are you going to get those cars moved out of the way? We're taking a live picture now. We see some cars are moving through, but as you mentioned, over 100 cars abandoned at this point.
Yep, the state police are coordinating that right now. They're getting tow truck companies out there because a lot of these cars probably had damage done because of the water. So it'll depend on which cars are drivable on their own and which cars need to be towed off of there. So they're coordinating that right now.
Well, this is a step in the right direction,
yeah.
Seeing cars finally moving through. Again, the Southern State Parkway, it was closed for a few hours this morning, and the town supervisor talking to us. Richard Schaffer, thank you very much for taking some time.
Richard, thank you.
For what you're doing.
Yeah, we'll check back in with you, of course, if it warrants.